So you've gone ahead and learned the pentatonic scale, and if you've been watching my videos, you'll be able to play it all over the fretboard if you've been practicing the shapes and following along. But now the question is, how do I make things actually sound good? Because after all, we are playing music. And this was actually asked by someone in the comments. I'm paraphrasing a bit, but it was along the lines of what are some tips to make improvisations sound nice? And that's a very good question, and it's also a very open-ended question because there are tons of ways you can answer this and tons of different things you can do to make your improvisations sound better. But I think a good place to start is by learning which notes within the pentatonic scale sound resolved and which ones sound unresolved. Or as I like to think of it, which notes sound like questions and which notes sound like answers. If you can be intentional with this, it is instantly going to add another level to your improvisation, because this is how we sound lyrical, as opposed to just playing notes because we know where they are in the fretboard and we know in theory they fit in a certain key. By knowing which notes are questions and answers, you can choose to create tension with a question note when you choose, or release tension with an answer note when you choose. And this is one of the fundamentals of music, is tension and release. So what does this actually sound like? So I'm just going to loop quickly something in A minor. Okay, not my best work, but this is what we're working with. So I'm going to finish some of my improvisations or phrases on question notes, okay? Using just pattern 1 of the pentatonic scale. Keep it very simple. Right, you could probably hear that all sounded very unresolved, and it kind of leaves you hanging, and it actually builds momentum, okay, which is very important because we want to build momentum in our solos. Now, if I land on the answer notes, okay, now it's all going to sound very resolved. Right, you can see that all sounded very resolved. And if I combine the two now, okay, so I will choose to create tension by landing on the question notes, or release it by landing on the answers. So, question, answer, question, answer, question, answer, right? Hard to do that and speak at the same time, but you get the idea. So let's get into how you can actually do this yourself. So I will pull up a little worksheet I made, which again will be available for free. In the description, there'll be a link to a Google Drive. I have the first position of the pentatonic scale written up there. And what you're going to see, first of all, ignore the colors of the notes, but you'll see it's 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7. This is the formula of the minor pentatonic scale. All that means is if we have our A major scale, which has these 7 notes, and we take the first note, the third note, 4th, 5th, and 7th, and we also flatten the third, turning a C sharp into a C, and flatten the 7th, turning a G sharp into a G, that will give us our A minor pentatonic scale. So that's why the formula for our A minor pentatonic scale is 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7. Now, the way this is laid out is all the red notes, or the 1s and 5s, these are going to be your answer notes. Okay, so if I play along with this backing track and I just pause on those red notes, you'll notice they sound like answers. So 1, obviously. 5. 1. 5. 1. Back down. 5. 1. 5. 1. Right, all sound very resolved. Now the orange notes, we're going to ignore the flat 3 right now. I'll get to that. So we'll look at the 4 and the flat 7. These are more questions, you'll notice. So if I go through and land on them, 4, flat 7, 4, flat 7, 4, flat 7, 4. The 4 especially, that is the best question note. The flat 7, I still consider it a question in a lot of like kind of rock, blues, context. Context does depend, but for now it's a question. Now the flat 3, this can really go either way. The 3 in theory is one of the strongest tones because it is a chord tone, but again, I think in a lot of rock and blues contexts, depending where you place it and how you play it, it can go either way. So this is a question or an answer. Which I know is not very helpful, but it's just the way it is. So if I land on that flat 3, it's pretty resolved. But it also kind of leaves you hanging, especially if you do a little blues bend on it. Right? Or if I just leave it, sounds kind of resolved. So you're going to have to use your critical thinking skills on that one, and depending on the context, use it how you see fit. So hopefully that makes sense. Pretty straightforward. Red notes, answers, orange notes, questions. The orange note with the red around it, the flat 3, it can kind of go either way. Now the next 2 diagrams, all I did was apply this exact same coloring or coding to the horizontal pentatonic shapes, because if you've been following, you'll know I've been just going on about those lately because I think they are the best way to play the whole fretboard, and as well as that, the most practical to actually use. Because, not to open this can of worms again, but the 5 typical pentatonic shapes, you probably won't use half the notes, but all these notes are very usable. So you got the horizontal pentatonic shape with the root note on the E string, the low E string, and the pentatonic, the horizontal pentatonic shape with the root note on the A string. So I'll just go through that quickly. So for an A, okay, I have my 1 here, flat 7 here, question, right, 1, flat 3, 4, slide to the 5, flat 7, 1, flat 3, 4, slide to the 5, flat 7, 1, flat 3, 4, 5, and again, if I was improvising using it, question, 4, question, resolved on the 1, question on that 4, on the 4 again, resolve it to a 5, flat 7 question, answer on the 1. Right, you get the idea. And if I were to play this on the A string, or put my root note on the A string, so higher up the fretboard on this A, I would use the second shape. Now my 1 is there, and I have these 4 notes here, flat 7, 1, and the 5 and 4 back here. 1, flat 3, 4, slide across to the 5, flat 7, 1, flat 3, 4, slide across to the 5, flat 7, 1 again. And again, I actually use it in context. 4, flat 7, question, resolve to a 5, flat 3, blues bend, leave it hanging. It's kind of cool, you change it from a question to an answer by doing the bend, right? Answer, question, anyway, so hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions relating to it, or just any other guitar related questions that you might want a video made about, leave them in the comments below. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.